You guys. Hey, you guys. Oh, God, I'm sorry. That's my cat. Hey, you guys. Being annoying. Okay, guys. Well, guess what? We are open for this type situation. Yes. We got to go. We got a mystery, y'all. We got a mystery afoot, and it's just going to start off real fast and real quick. So, as y'all can probably see, the name of today's title is Sherlock Has Got to Circle the Block. What do you think that means, Scott?
He's got to take a little trip around the block to clear his mind and figure things out.
Scott is not up on the latest slang.
No.
Okay, so what circling the block, and I had to learn this. Circling the block, and for those who don't know what circling the block means, I had to learn this too. Circling the block means returning back to somebody. So, like, you know how you break up with somebody and then you get back with them like sometime later? That's circling the block. Yeah. Yeah. So he got to circle the block. He got to come back to somebody. So, you guys know, as always, it's, you guys and Scott and myself and of course Watson and Sherlock. And we're going to start it off. I'm going to start off by reading it because one of the famous Sherlock quotes is in the beginning of the book. And I don't want y'all to miss this because I get excited. And I want y'all to be excited with me. You ready, Scott? You guys ready? Okay. It was on a bitterly cold night and a frosty morning towards the end of the summer of 97. And they ain't talking 19, they talking 1897. That happened. That I was awakened by a tugging at my shoulders. It was Holmes. The candle in his hand shone upon his eager, stupid face, and told me at a glance that something was amiss. "Come on, Watson, come," he cried. "The game is afoot." Uh-oh. That's the famous line. A game is afoot. Yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
We might have to have Sherlock Sunday and Sunday Funday School for Scott. Scott got a lot to learn. Not a word. Into your clothes and come. Okay, so Sherlock then came up in the room. He like, hurry up, wake up, get up. He came in like a TI in basic training, honey. He said, get your ass up and let's go, because the game is afoot, baby. We got to go chase these people and see what the hell they doing so we can solve these mysteries, huh? So, Sherlock is like, come on, let's go. So Watson hurry up and put his clothes on. They go catch a train. They didn't eat nothing. They just got on the train and had to go. And so, Sherlock don't tell us nothing. He didn't tell us nothing on the train. We get to Abbey Grange, which is the name of the story. It's The Adventure of Abbey Grange. And that's the name of the place that we got to go and do this, and solve this mystery. So they get to Abbey Grange, and this is where they meet up with, oh my gosh, Detective Stanley. And so Detective Stanley, and actually, I'm sorry, I don't have my next thing up. So Detective Stanley is there, and he's like, yeah, y'all. He was like, yeah, I'm sad that I even had y'all come out here because I didn't already solve the mystery. And, I know, right? And that's the end of our story. I'm kidding. Wait, sorry. Let me pull up my notes so I can make sure I give y'all good standard of care here. Okay, so Stanley Hopkins called him up. They get there, and Stanley's like, I shouldn't even call y'all out here because I don't even need y'all like that. And so Sherlock is like, okay, but we didn't eat. Okay, I didn't pull this man out the bed. He looking terrible. He ain't even had time to brush his teeth. His breath stank. All this, he looking a mess. He ain't washed his face or nothing. So you might as well go on, cough it up. Tell us what happened, sir. We got your note. And so, Stanley was like, okay. He was like, well, and let me get the name. I'm bad with names. He was like, Sir Eustace Brackenstall has been unalived.
Oh.
You know, and you know, we figured out that the gang, the Randall gang that had been breaking into all these people's houses all over London. Yeah, we think it was them. They didn't burglarize and then busting them upside the head with a poker iron and took them on out. And Sherlock is like, okay. He was like, well, let me still just, let me clear the field. Let me make sure you did your due diligence, because we know how you do, Detective Stanley. You don't do well. That's why you call me. So let me just, do a little exploring. Let me talk to the characters, let's do that. So he was like, well, who witnessed all this old foolishness? And so, Stanley was like, oh, well, there is Lady Bracknell. She was there and she witnessed, her husband getting his head bashed in with that poker iron. So let me take you on in there and talk to her. So she's sitting there, she's frail. She didn't seen her husband get his head bashed in, and she's just like, oh my God, oh no, I can't do it. I can't tell this story. This too much. And, finally Detective Stanley like, tell Sherlock and Watson and all these people here, what happened. And so she's like, oh, if I must. Now she's wearing her little robe. I forgot to bring my robe with me. She's wearing her little robe thingy. And there's a gash above her eye. She done got her head busted up. She done got busted upside her head on her eye. And there's she got a big old knot. And then she's messing with her little robe, and all of a sudden something slipped down. And Sherlock is like, girl, you done got beat up. You got jumped. They jumped you? And she's like, no. These are not from the burglar. She was like, this is from the burglar. This big old knot above my eye, that's from the burglars. This is not. She's like, so let me go ahead and throw my husband under the bus. She was like, I'm not even going to deny, because you're going to ask the neighbors and they're going to tell you the truth. My husband be beating me. Okay, I'm an abused woman. Okay, he beats me. Everybody knows it. They can hear it. They can see it. They can whatever. He is very abusive. She was like, but even he didn't deserve it. What happened to him? So she said, my husband is a drunk. He's disgusting. He get drunk and this is what happens. Look at my body. Okay, not here, but look at the rest of me. So he gets drunk and he likes to beat me up. Because he is a drunk, he don't never go around locking the doors at night. That's up to me. I got to take care of the house and take care of his drunk ass. And so, she was like, I go around. She was like, I was reading my book. At 11 o'clock, I went to go check all the doors because all the housekeepers and my staff, they were all asleep. I go into the little study thing, and I'm putting the fire out or whatever. And all of a sudden I see this old man come up through the window. And then he brought his two younger dudes with him. It could have been, I don't know, a father and his two sons. So he comes up through the window. I before I could even scream, he bashes me upside my head like my husband used to do before he got unalived. He bashed me upside the head and I passed out. And when I came to, they had tied me to a chair. And I was just sitting there. And she was like, then they ransacked around, stole a bunch of stuff. And then they stood over here by the fireplace and just poured themselves 3 glasses of wine and just drank wine and just whispered to each other. They were just, having happy hour as they robbed my house. Took our best wine, they did. And, she said she just played like she was asleep. Afterwards, they came and secured her little strap. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Before they poured themselves some wine, I'm sorry, something happened. So she said her drunk husband at some point decided he wanted to come up in there. He came with his batarang trying to like Joseph. Here, let me show y'all what it looked like. It looked like this. The husband came in swinging this thing. We're going to go back to our previous live. Husband came swinging at the dude like this. And one of them dudes said, absolutely not. He grabbed that poker iron and swung back and busted that man's brains in. Now, The housekeeper was there too, or she wasn't the housekeeper. She's like the nanny. She was like the lady's nanny from the time she was born. Like this lady nursed her, so she was there with her, and she was like, yeah, she was like, you know, oh well, okay, wait. So the husband got unalived. The dudes tied her up. They went on, had them some wine. They had a little happy hour. And then they went on and said, okay, let's get on out of here, and left. So the lady was like, I heard them whispering. I woke up, but then I pretended to be asleep. Before they left, they checked to make sure I was still tied up real good. And they left. And then I had to wiggle this gag thing out of my mouth. I was just sitting there like, look, Scott, this is me getting the gag out. Until the gag came off. And then she started screaming. And then here comes her maid, Teresa. And Teresa was like, that's exactly how it happened. She was like, but let me tell you something. I don't like her husband. So it's good that he gone. I was like, right on, Teresa, girl. Teresa don't like him. Teresa said he ain't nothing. Okay. So, so that happened. So the corpse was still laying there. And Sherlock came with his little glass, and he like, okay, I see a corpse. I see that chair where she was tied up. I see some silver missing. I see 3 wine glasses. Yeah, what's there to see? Nothing to see here. So Sherlock was like, well, and they've also had, the Randall brothers running around, running amok, stealing from other people's houses. They fit the description from what Teresa said. So he was like, this case is closed. Period. The game has laid down and is about to take a nap. It's not afoot no more. So, he was like, well, Stanley Hopkins, congratulations on the easy case. Watson, me, and them, meaning us, are all going to go back on a train and get on back to 221 B Baker Street. And they was out. But on the train, Sherlock is sitting there like, something about this don't feel right. Wait, Scott making a noise too. You don't feel right either, Scott?
I'm just getting
Getting what?
Getting the story.
Oh, okay. But do you suspect anything wrong? Do y'all suspect anything wrong?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. What the story if it just ended there?
It could be. It could be a short. Because Sherlock Holmes lays his eyes on somebody else's case. A short. Okay, well, I'm going to read from this part because this is Sherlock circling that block. Because Sherlock like, this don't feel right, y'all. This ain't right. Something ain't right here. Something just ain't right. Shout out to Keith Sweat. Okay. That only 2 glasses were used and that the dredge of both were poured into a third cup so as to give the false impression that 3 people had been there. In that way, all the bees wing, I don't know what that is, would be in the last glass. Would it not? Yes, I am convinced that this is so. He having a conversation by himself. We don't need to say nothing. We just sit here and just nod our heads. We just gonna sit here and nod like, yeah, you deep.
Okay.
Period. That's so real. That's what you got to do while he doing this. Scott, just nod your head. Okay, Scott's nodding. Y'all nod too. Yes, I am convinced that this is so. But if I have hit upon the true explanation of this one small phenomenon, then in an instant, the case rises from the commonplace to the exceedingly remarkable, for what it can only mean that Lady Brackenstall and her maid had deliberately lied to us. This was an episode of Fatal Vows, I'm sure. That no one word of their story is to be believed, that they have some very strong reason for covering the real criminal, and that we must construct our case for ourselves without any help from them. Ain't no witnesses. This is the mission which now lies before us. And here, Watson is the Sydenham train. Because he had got off the train. Sherlock was like, let's get our asses off the train because ain't nobody doing this. Because something ain't right here. Also, I done woke up early this morning. I didn't have no food. I didn't have a donut. I didn't have nothing. And hurried up over here, baby. I'm going to make sure this case is all the way 100% solved. Because I know Stanley Hopkins can't do it. And so he said, let's circle the block. The household at the Abbey Grange were much surprised at our return. He circled that block. But Sherlock Holmes, finding that Stanley Hopkins had gone off to report to headquarters, took possession of the dining room, locked the doors up upon the inside, and devoted himself for 2 hours of those to one of those minutes at laborious investigations which formed the solid basis on which his brilliant edifices of deduction were reared. Period. I don't know what none of that meant, but it was powerful and profound.
Indeed.
Yes. Seated in a corner like an interested student who observes the demonstration of his professor, I follow every step of that remarkable research. The window, the curtains, the carpet, the chair, the rope, each in turn were minutely examined and duly pondered. The body of the unfortunate baronet had been removed, and all else remained as we had seen it in the morning. Finally, to my astonishment, Holmes climbed up onto the massive mantelpiece. Far above his head hung the few inches of red cord which were still attached to the wire. For a long time, he gazed upward at it. And then, in an attempt to get nearer to it, he rested his knee on a wooden bracket on the wall. This brought his hands within a few inches of the broken end of the rope. But it was not this so much as the bracket itself that seemed to engage his attention. Finally, he sprang down with an ejaculation of satisfaction. Okay. So, Sherlock is like, what them two hussies are saying, they lying. They full of crap. I'm going back because these people that made me miss my breakfast. I could have been tooting some blow. I could have been doing a chemistry set. I could have been doing anything but being over here. I'm gonna make sure whoever need they comeuppance get they comeuppance. Period. So Sherlock gets right on to investigating some more. Okay. Wait. So Sherlock gets to doing some more investigations. We are not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but basically he goes outside. He sees there's a hole in a pond for a swan. And he says, and he goes over there and he looks at it. Then he goes and he writes a letter and sends it off to Stanley Hopkins. Then he goes over and he's like, nah, we need to, he was like, we need to go ahead and get on to, to the docks real quick. And he questions a bunch of people. And then he's like, okay, we need to go back. So when he gets back there, Stanley Hopkins is hanging out there. And he's like, Sherlock, I swear to God, you a psychic. I don't know how you be knowing all this stuff. We found all the silver and stuff that they was supposed to steal right in that pond, in that hole. And Sherlock was like, And Stanley's like, how you know? Sherlock was like, I didn't know. Okay, you knew. And so he's like, well, I still have some complications here. And Sherlock is like, what's your complications, baby? And so, wait, let me get to my notes. Okay, so he was like, well, the fact that they just threw the silver in the water, they didn't even steal nothing. And usually the Randall gang be stealing stuff and they keep their stuff and they take it to the pawn shop and get $20 for it, even though it's worth thousands. He was like, also, it's kind of weird, but the Randall gang was in New York. And if they in New York, that means that they've been there for a couple of days because they ain't got planes. There are no planes. The Wright brothers have not started doing dangerous things with heavier than air, you know, contraptions. So they don't have planes. So you had to take a boat back then. And that boat ride was not like a Carnival cruise. No, it took like weeks, if not months, to get from London to New York. What say you, Scott?
Yeah. It was quite the trip.
It was a long, think the Titanic. But like the Titanic, if it had not sunk, though, it takes a while. So the fact that the man was unalived, Eustace, I need to use that name more. That's such a unique name. Eustace was unalive the day before, but the Randall gang got caught in New York. How they do that? How they do that? Scott, how they do that? There was no beam me up, Scotty. None of that was going on. Star Trek is not here today, and it wasn't back then either. So, you know, Detective Stanley, like, I don't know, but we still gonna put the blame on them because I don't feel like doing any deeper research. It's still them. We just gonna tack some charges onto them for whatever they got in New York, period. And so Sherlock was like, sure, do all that. It sounds great to me. And so Watson looking at Sherlock like, sir, you know damn well it ain't the Randall gang. You said that many times, and we still looking for clues. So how you just gonna let them go down? And Sherlock said this. Sherlock was like, let me tell you something. I didn't solve hundreds of cases in my day. He was like, but some of them cases, he was like, in my younger days, I just gave the police everything and let them, you know, let justice be served. But Sherlock said, now I'm older and I done seen a lot of things. Sometimes these criminals are the justice. Huh? He talking about righteous justice. So he was like, on this one, we might have one of those type cases. I'm not giving Detective Stanley Hopkins, nothing until I determine that this case needs to be sent to the police. I'm going to make the determination if this is not righteous. Because did you see that girl? Did you see her arms? Did you see the way that man beat her? Okay. So, you know. So they go on their way. They still looking for clues and whatnot. So Sherlock circles back a third time over there to Abbey Grange. And he's like, bring my girl. Well, he bumps into Teresa. And Teresa was in the mood to gossip, honey. Teresa, the nanny, honey, she was in the mood to gossip. So Teresa was like, so Sherlock is like, okay, go ahead, tell me what you got to say, sis. And Teresa was like, let me tell you something. That man, by that man, she talking about Eustace, the unalive one. She was like, Eustace should have been behind bars. Okay. He almost ended up there when he set my mistress's dog on fire. Okay. She said he didn't set the dog on fire, y'all. You know what? I might change the title to that. This fool set the dog on fire. They said he took some petrol and he got him a match and set the dog on fire, and the dog unalive. Eustace got some anger issues. Yeah. Unfortunately, Sigmund Freud hadn't hit the scene yet because he definitely needed to lay on that man's couch. So anyway, you know, he's like, oh, Teresa was also like, and then let me tell you, he wasn't just abusive to my mistress. He was abusive to me too. This fool would pick up stuff and just launch it at me, just throwing stuff. He like, get out of here, just throwing stuff. And she was like, the reason why he threw it at me is because I got slick. I saw him beat my mistress one day, and I said, fool, you wouldn't be doing that if her brother was here. And so he decided to throw stuff at me. And she was like, I love my mistress. I ain't trying to hear it. The world is better off. This man ain't here. And that's what I got to say. And Sherlock was like, I don't even feel like talking to you because you messy. Sherlock was like, take me to your mistress. Does she feel like talking to me again? And so Teresa was like, yeah, she'll talk to you. We don't care. We got our story down tight. And so Sherlock goes in there and he basically says to my girl, he was like, look, lady, you gonna tell me the truth or not? Is you gonna tell me what happened? Are you gonna tell me the real truth? Or are you gonna sit up here and keep lying to me? Because I know that what you're saying is not the truth. And Teresa and Lady Brickenhall were just sitting there gagging, just like, I can't believe you accused me. And at a point in the book, it says that Lady Brickenhall almost spilled the beans, but then she said, I'm a strong, whatever the hell she is. I'm a strong British woman. I'm loyal. I ride or die. Loose lips sink ships. I ain't telling. And so Sherlock was like, fine. I may circle back a fourth time. You don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. But baby, I know you full of it. So Sherlock he's like, come on, y'all, let's get on back to 221B Baker Street. We waiting on company. So we march it on back. So we're sitting, there, and all of a sudden, and in walks a captain, like a sailor. And Sherlock is like, okay, hey, what's going on? And so, let me get his name. Y'all know I'm bad with names. Captain Crocker. So in walks Captain Crocker. He's like, I got your letter. Oh my God. You know? And Sherlock is like, absolutely, I know. I put it right there in that letter, and you know damn well I know. So either you gonna tell the truth, unlike Lady Brickenhall and Teresa, even though she told the truth about that dusty husband, either you gonna tell the truth, or I'm gonna call Detective Stanley, and he gonna arrest you. So you best tell the truth, and you better make it the whole truth and nothing but. Did you feel it, Scott? Did you feel scared? Did your heart beat real bad, like fast? Yes. I think if I could get a time machine and I could make things that are fiction real, I would make this scene real, and I would want to talk to the captain like, get over here. Let me tell you something. We tired of your damn lies. And just go in. If we only had time machines. So anyway. So Captain, what did I say his name was? Captain Betty Crocker was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth. So he met Lady Brickenhall because Lady Brickenhall was from New Zealand. So Lady Brickenhall took a boat over to, London. And so he met her there. He was the first captain. I don't know the titles on the boat. He wasn't the captain yet. He just got the captain title. He was like underneath the captain. So, he was there. He was on the boat, and he see this beautiful, fine, sexy thing. And he was like, oh, kind of like how that Pharaoh's wife was looking at Joseph. Oh, who is that? So he became friends with her. He really became friends with Teresa. You want to get in with, their mama. He was really friends with Teresa, but he got in with Lady Brickenhall, and she was feeling him. And he was like, I love her. She is the most beautiful thing. Oh, I would just kiss the ground she walked on. He was like, the boat was better for her being in there. Like, he was doing it up. I was like, honey, I want a man to feel like that about me. Oh my God. Scott, read this book and tell me all the things he said. Even if it's a lie, I don't care. And so, he was like, I loved her. He was like, now she didn't feel the same about me, and that's fine. He was like, she got off the boat, and later on I heard that she had got married to Eustace. And so, he was like, I kept it moving. He was like, but I ranked up. He was like, well, he gave her kudos. He was like, something that beautiful posed me with something that rich. He basically was like, something that beautiful posed to have money, baby. She posed it. He was like, for her beauty, she needed to just go ahead and marry a rich man. I couldn't provide for her. But then he made captain, and he felt some kind of way. So he was like, my old boat that I, was on before actually had to like drop me off here because I get a new boat and it's going to dock here. And then I get on there and, take over or whatever. So he was like, while he was at the market, he bumped into Teresa. And what does Teresa tell him? That the husband is beating that woman down. And so Captain Crocker was like, what the hell? He beating that beautiful thing? He gonna ruin that beautiful thing like that? That's crazy. So he tells Teresa where he's sitting, and so Teresa giving notes. She passing notes back and forth because Teresa see a good man for her mistress, right? She like, I'm not gonna let this good thing get away, honey. You need to leave that abusive, crazy man, and you need to go ahead and get with a winner, baby. Get with this captain over here, Captain Crocker. His mama named Betty. So Teresa facilitating them getting together, but Lady Brickenhall, being a good girl, she's like, I'm meet up with you, but we ain't gonna do too much. I'm gonna also put some makeup over all these these things, and I'm gonna say I fell down some stairs and ran into a door when I see him because my husband beats me. So before Captain Crocker got on got on the boat to take command, he goes one last time. He was like, I'm gonna see this woman. I love her. She pretty. I need to just see her one more time before I get on this boat. So he goes to the house, to Abbey Grange. He gets there. He talking with Teresa. There are two glasses there. Remember, Sherlock kept saying, like, back, these two glasses are the original. I don't know where this third one came. So they over there having wine and talking. And in comes the husband. Here he comes, drunk, slurring, probably stank, acting a fool. And he takes this thing. Let me pull back my Joseph again. He takes his stick, and he wasn't trying to hit at no burglars. There was never burglars. He swings the stick and hits Teresa and hits Miss Brickenhall and gives her a big old knot on the head. And here come the captain. He like, oh, hell no. I ain't even hit that yet. I ain't hit that yet. I'm going to bust the husband up. And he grabs that poker. And he's like, boom, 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 and bust that man's head in. But then after that, he was like, oh, snap. Oh, I'm a captain. I'm supposed to take this ship over tomorrow. Oh, snap. Ooh. It happens for love. It's called protection. So, he's like, oh, damn. So they come up. Teresa comes out. She hears all this ruckus. She comes down to Teresa like, oh, shit, you got rid of that fool? Good. I got a plan. So Teresa comes up with the plan. She's like, just say it's the Randall brothers, honey. Okay? Tie her up. We're going to say the Randall brothers hit them. They looking for them anyway. They going to prison anyway. It don't matter. Tie her up. Say they tied her up. You get the hell out of here. Grab something and go. I got the rest from here. Teresa, mama got it, honey. And so, he's like, that's what happened. He was like, I was defending myself because that fool first hit her and then was coming at me. So I grabbed that poker and gave him the whoppity boppity wop. And then we had to get the hell on out of there. But ain't nobody losing nothing because nobody liked that fool anyway. And he was beating that woman up. He was beating her like a piñata. And so Sherlock is sitting there puffing on his cigar. He like puffing, trying to figure it out, huh?
I know Sherlock. His cigar. Guy.
He got his pipe. Thank you, Scott. Scott just cannot let me be politically incorrect. He had his pipe, cigar. And he's like, I got to do something here. I don't know what to do. Do I let him go? Do I let him stay? What we going to do? I'm going to read y'all what he did. Because this makes me love this man so much. I love him so much. Holmes smoked for some time in silence. I told y'all he grabbed that pipe. Then he crossed the room and shook our visitor by the hand. He said, give me your hand. Yes, you better bust that man upside the head. That's what I think, he said. I know that every word is true, for you have hardly said a word which I did not know. Wait, sorry, I missed the word. No one but an acrobat or a sailor could have gotten up to that belt rope, because that bell rope. So that's how he tied her up. He grabbed the bell rope, the one that you jingle to get the servants. That we don't do that no more. So, from the bracket, and no one but a sailor could have made the knots in which the cord was fastened to the chair. Only once had this lady been brought into contact with sailors, and that was on her voyage. Look at him deducing. You better deduce. You better use some strategy, some logic. And it was someone of her own class of life. Since she was trying hard to shield him, and so showing that she loved him. You see how easy it is for me to lay my hands upon you once I had started upon the right trail? I thought the police never could have seen through our dodge. They wouldn't have. And the police hadn't, nor will they, to the best of my belief. Now look here, Captain Crocker. This is a very serious matter. Though I am willing to admit that you acted under the most extreme provocation to which any man could be subjected, I am not sure that in defense of your life, your actions will not be pronounced legitimate. However, that is for a British jury to decide. Meanwhile, I have so much sympathy for you that if you choose to disappear in the next 24 hours, I will promise you that no one will hinder you. So he's going to turn him in 24 hours is what he telling him. He said, get on the boat and get the fuck out. And then it will all come out. Certainly it will all come out. The sailor flushed in anger. What sort of proposal is that to make to a man? I know enough of law to understand that Mary will be held as an accomplice. Mary is Miss Birkenhall. He calls her by her first name. He said he refused to call her Miss Birkenhall because he didn't meet her like that and he didn't like that husband, period. Mary would be held as an accomplice. Do you think I would ever leave her to face the music while I slunk away? No, sir. Let them do their worst upon me. But for heaven's sakes, Mr. Holmes, find some way to keep my poor Mary out of the course. And this is where I just was in love with Sherlock some more. Like if I was in love before, I felt deeply in love. You ready for why?
I'm ready.
Holmes, for a second time, held his hand out to the sailor. Because Sherlock was like, let me tell you something. I was testing you, baby. I was testing you. He was putting them tests out there. And he's like, you passed with flying colors. You didn't do this because you wanted to get that woman. You didn't do it to end her husband so you can get her. None of that. You did it to protect her. You did it out of pure intent to protect her because you saw a woman being abused and then the man came for you. So you had every right to defend yourself and the woman that you actually do love because you willing to put your head on you willing to put your life on the line so she don't get in trouble. That's love. So he was like, come on, shake my hand. He was like, let me tell you something. He was like, as long as no one else is implicated in this thing that happened, you ain't got to worry about me saying nothing. He was like, I told Stanley Hopkins where that silver was. I gave him as many clues as I'm giving him. Hands off. He said, what say you, Watson? You the jury. What say you? And Watson was like, nah, it looked good to me. And so Sherlock was like, let me tell you something. He was like, get on that boat, be good. He was like, come back in a year and get your woman. And that ends the case.
All right.
Scott, what did you learn? What lessons did you learn?
You got to keep your hands to yourself.
They teach it in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. Any other lessons?
That's what I got.
I didn't have any lessons from this. It was kind of straightforward. Fight for, you know what? Fight for the things you love. Fight for it, baby. And if it's pure in intention, people will respect it. Or at least Sherlock will, and I will too. So, do you have anything else?
No.
What did you guys learn? That's the question, because everything we do is a lesson. So what did you guys learn, if anything? Put it down in the comments. Okay, now we got to get to our Sherlock Scooby snacks. So let me go grab them. Yeah. Scott, do you have a preference?
Surprise me.
Scott, you say that every time. You never have what you want.
Well, I don't know what's in there.
Okay. Well, today we are doing, we can't pronounce it. I think it's in Thai. I want to say this is in Thai, but it's black pepper flavor. Black pepper flavor Yeah, this is Thai. That black pepper flavor something or other. Crabs. Crusty crabs. Oh, they're cute. I feel like it's going to taste like shrimp chips. Mm. It's like a Funyun. What say you, Scott?
Yeah, it's got a bit of fun kind of.
Yeah, it has like a Funyun crunch with, I don't know, like a spicy flavor. It's really good. So get these.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's called, but it's black pepper flavor. Just go on down to go to your local Asian store and just try out some stuff.
wheat tapioca snack.
Yeah, it's wheat and tapioca snacks in a Thai bag. So period. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's all we got for today. Will there be a Sherlock next week? I don't know, because we got company. And I don't know what we're doing. So we might be out and about. So, but we will be back the week after that. And I'll try to sneak in here when I can and just do little videos. Scott may not be here. Okay, so we are officially closed for today. Thank you guys for showing up. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make some comments if you feel like it. Do what makes you feel good. And make sure you get these chips. These are good. So from wherever we are to wherever you are, peace and love and happiness. And